Welcome to the 5-Minute Murder podcast from 5minutemurder.com, where every week we take a look at a murder, a murderer, a serial killer, or an assassination in about 5 minutes. Episode 4. The Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is widely regarded as the event that ignited the First World War, a conflict that would reshape the world and lead to the deaths of millions. The murder of Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie in Sarajevo on the 28th of June 1914 was not only a tragedy for the imperial family, but also a catalyst for a war that had been long in the making, fueled by the complex web of alliances, nationalism, and imperial ambitions that characterized early 20th century Europe. Franz Ferdinand was born on the 18th of December, 1863, into the House of Habsburg, one of Europe's most powerful and long-standing royal families. As the nephew of Emperor Franz Joseph I, he was not initially expected to inherit the throne. However, the suicide of his cousin, Crown Prince Rudolf, in 1889, followed by the death of his father in 1896, placed Franz Ferdinand in direct line to succeed his uncle as emperor. His rise to prominence was met with mixed feelings within the empire. While he was a committed reformer who sought to address the growing ethnic tensions within the Austro-Hungarian Empire, his views and personality often clashed with the conservative elements of the court and the military. Franz Ferdinand's marriage to Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, further complicated his position. Sophie, though of noble birth, was considered below Franz Ferdinand's rank, and their marriage was deemed morganatic, meaning that Sophie would not share her husband's rank, titles, or privileges, and their children would not inherit the throne. Despite these restrictions, the couple was devoted to each other, and their marriage was one of genuine affection, a rarity among royal unions of the time. The political landscape of Europe in the early 20th century was a tinderbox, with rising nationalist movements, particularly in the Balkans, threatening the stability of empires. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, a multi-ethnic conglomerate of various nationalities, was particularly vulnerable. The empire's annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1908 had angered Serbian nationalists, who viewed the territories as rightfully part of a greater Serbia. Tensions between Austria-Hungary and Serbia escalated, with nationalist groups, such as the Black Hand, committed to the idea of Serbian independence and willing to use violence to achieve their goals. It was against this backdrop that Franz Ferdinand and Sophie embarked on a visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in June 1914. The visit was intended to showcase the strength of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and to demonstrate the loyalty of the newly annexed provinces. However, the trip was fraught with danger, as nationalist sentiments in the region were running high, and there were concerns about the safety of the imperial couple. On the morning of the 28th of June 1914, as Franz Ferdinand and Sophie travelled through the streets of Sarajevo in an open-topped car, they were targeted by a group of young nationalists, members of the Black Hand. The first attempt on their lives came when a bomb was thrown at their car, but it missed and exploded under a following vehicle, injuring several people. Despite the danger, Franz Ferdinand continued with the visit, determined to complete the day's engagements. After a brief stop at the city hall, the couple decided to visit the wounded from the earlier bombing at the hospital. In a tragic twist of fate, their driver, confused by the altered route, took a wrong turn and ended up on a street where one of the would-be assassins, 19-year-old Gavrilo Princip, was standing. Seizing the opportunity, Princip stepped forward and fired 2 shots at close range. The first bullet struck Sophie in the abdomen, while the second hit Franz Ferdinand in the neck. Within minutes, both were dead. The assassination sent shockwaves through Europe. In Vienna, the imperial court was plunged into mourning, but the grief was quickly overshadowed by the political ramifications of the murders. Austria-Hungary, already frustrated with Serbia's growing influence in the Balkans, saw the assassination as an opportunity to crush Serbian nationalism once and for all. With the backing of Germany, Austro-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, demanding concessions that were designed to be unacceptable. When Serbia's response fell short of total compliance, Austro-Hungary declared war on the 28th of July 1914. The declaration of war set off a chain reaction across Europe. Russia, bound by its alliance with Serbia, began to mobilize its forces, prompting Germany to declare war on Russia. France, allied with Russia, was soon drawn in, and when German forces invaded neutral Belgium as part of their strategy to quickly defeat France, Britain entered the war in defense of Belgian neutrality. Within weeks, Europe was engulfed in a conflict that would become known as the Great War. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand is often cited as the spark that ignited the First World War, but it was not the sole cause. The war was the result of decades of tensions, rivalries, and unresolved conflicts among the great powers of Europe. However, the murder of the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne provided the immediate pretext for a war that many believed was inevitable. In the years since the war, the assassination has been the subject of much analysis and debate. Gavrilo Princip, the young nationalist who pulled the trigger, has been variously portrayed as a hero, a terrorist, and a pawn of greater powers. Franz Ferdinand himself has been remembered as a victim of circumstances beyond his control, a man whose death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a catastrophic conflict. The legacy of the assassination is profound. The First World War led to the collapse of empires, the redrawing of national boundaries, and the loss of millions of lives. It set the stage for the Second World War and the turbulent 20th century that followed. The deaths of Franz Ferdinand and Sophie on that fateful day in Sarajevo were more than just a personal tragedy. They were the harbinger of a global calamity that would change the course of history. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Murder podcast from 5minutemurder.com. If you get a chance, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, as it will help us to grow. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts, 5-Minute Biographies, 5-Minute History, and 5-Minute Mysteries. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.